picture this. You've just woken up.
Right.
You pour yourself a fresh cup of coffee. You sit down at your desk, and you open up Google Search Console for your Shopify store. Just to check on things.
Always a risky morning move.
Totally. And suddenly, you are just staring at this massive wall of bright red warnings.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Dozens or maybe like hundreds of your URLs are flagged with these terrifying messages. Things like duplicate without user-selected canonical.
That is a scary one to see.
Right. Your heart just sank. Suddenly that coffee tastes a little bit bitter, and you're sitting there wondering if your entire store is just completely broken. Like, are you bleeding traffic right at this very moment?
It's super common to panic.
Well, put the coffee down because today's mission in this deep dive is to demystify all of this. We are going to separate normal Shopify platform behavior from actual, genuine indexation leaks.
Which is so needed.
And we're going to give you an impact-first audit plan. That way, you don't waste your time or your sanity fixing things that, aren't actually broken.
Yeah, because it is a terrible feeling. We're so conditioned to see red text on a screen and immediately assume the engine is on fire.
Exactly.
But if there is one thing I really want to offer you right at the top of this deep dive, it's just a sense of calm. Because most of the generic SEO advice that's floating around the internet, it simply does not apply to Shopify.
Really? Why not?
Because the platform is already doing a massive amount of heavy lifting right behind the scenes. So our goal today isn't to rebuild the engine of your store.
Right, the engine is fine.
Exactly.
Right.
We are simply looking for a few genuine gaps in the system.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we touch those scary red arrows you're seeing, we really need to understand the safety net that Shopify has already cast.
Yes, the bumpers, so to speak.
Right, like when you go bowling and the alley automatically puts the bumpers up for you, you have to know what's already working so you know what not to touch. Like, you might throw a really slow ball, but it's not going in the gutter.
I love that analogy. It holds up incredibly well when you look at the actual mechanics of the platform. Shopify's bumpers are remarkably robust.
Okay, where does that start?
It starts right at the foundation of how search engines navigate your site, which is the sitemap.xml file.
Ah, right. The master directory.
Exactly. Out of the box, Shopify just automatically generates this for you. It lives right at your domain root, and it auto-updates the second you add a new product, a collection, a page, you name it.
So you don't have to manually ping Google every time you upload a new t-shirt.
No, not at all. The only real mechanical limitation there is that Google bots can only see this map if your password protection page is actually turned off.
Which makes sense. I mean, if the front doors of the building are literally locked.
The crawler bot can't get into the lobby to read the directory.
Right. Okay, so the sitemap is automatic. What else?
Well, beyond that, Shopify themes utilize this global liquid object called canonical_URL.
Okay, wait. For anyone unfamiliar, liquid is just the coding language Shopify uses, right?
Yes, exactly. It's the template language that pulls data from your store's database and displays it on the screen. And because of this built-in object, your theme automatically outputs default canonical tags for your pages.
And a canonical tag is basically just a signpost.
Right. It's a tiny piece of HTML code that tells search engines, hey, if you find several identical versions of this content, this specific URL is the official one.
Like, rank this one, ignore the copies.
Exactly. That's the representative one.
Okay, but what about keeping the bots out of places they shouldn't be in the first place? Like, every site has a robots.txt file, right?
Yeah, they do.
People always compare it to a bouncer at a club, but I've honestly never fully understood how that works mechanically.
Well, the bouncer metaphor is a bit overused, and honestly, it's somewhat inaccurate.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A robots.txt file is more like handing a map to a museum tour guide, but then taking a black Sharpie and crossing out the employee break room.
Oh, okay. Or like the supply closets.
Right. You are explicitly telling the guide you are welcome to tour the building, but do not open these specific doors.
Got it.
And Shopify generates a default robots.txt that automatically crosses out those private administrative areas.
So it blocks things like the /admin page.
Yep. Admin, the /cart page, the entire checkout flow, your internal search results, and your policies. But the absolute most critical bumper it puts up has to do with your filters.
Oh, interesting. How so?
The default file automatically blocks multi-tag filter combinations.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand the mechanics of that. So say I have a clothing store.
Okay.
And a customer filters a collection by, let's say, blue and large. The URL usually joins those two tags with a plus sign, right?
Yes. It creates a highly specific URL string. And Shopify's default rule specifically disallows search engines from crawling those URLs, anything containing a plus sign in the collections path.
So it acts as a failsafe.
Exactly. It stops search engines from falling into this infinite black hole of every single possible combination of tags a user could click.
Because that would be endless.
It would. But notice what it doesn't block. It doesn't block single tag filters.
Oh, wait. So just the tag blue by itself?
It's still completely crawlable, which is super important, and we're going to come back to why that matters in just a minute.
Okay, wait. I actually need to rewind for a second regarding those canonical tags you mentioned earlier.
Sure.
If Shopify is automatically outputting a canonical tag that explicitly tells Google which URL is the official one, why on earth am I still getting duplicate warnings in my Search Console?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right. Doesn't Google just have to listen to the tag I put on my own site?
And that right there reveals a really crucial reality of modern SEO. A canonical tag is a hint. It is not a rule.
Wait, a hint? I thought it was a strict directive.
A lot of people do, but Google's own documentation is very clear about this. You are indicating your preference, yes, but Google cross-references that tag against, like, a dozen other signals.
Like what call signals?
Like how you internally link to the page, or which version naturally gets more user traffic. If Google thinks your canonical tag is wrong,
They'll just ignore it.
Yep. If it thinks another URL objectively provides a better user experience, it will simply ignore your tag and choose a different page entirely.
Wow. So you're steering the car, but Google is perfectly willing to just grab the wheel if it thinks you're driving into a ditch.
Exactly. They take the wheel.
Okay, so if the bowling bumpers are up, and Shopify is handling sitemaps and blocking multi-tags natively, why are duplicate URLs still showing up in that terrifying report?
Yeah.
Where are they coming from?
They come from the natural architecture of e-commerce itself. Duplicate URLs aren't a bug on Shopify.
They're not.
No, they are an inherent feature of how sorting, filtering, and simple navigation actually work. Think about collection-scoped product URLs.
Okay.
A product can be reached through its main, clean product page, but a user can also reach that exact same product by clicking on it from within a collection.
Oh, right, which generates a longer URL that actually contains the collection name in the path.
Exactly. Then you have variant parameters. If someone clicks the red version of a shirt on the product page, the URL changes to append, $variant equals 123.
Right, and then, of course, pagination.
Yes. Moving to page 2 of a collection creates an entirely new URL.
So a single product can naturally generate multiple URL paths just by existing in the store.
Yeah.
But you mentioned single tag filters earlier and how they aren't blocked by the robots map.
Right.
I'm actually looking at my own store's URLs right now, and I'm honestly confused. Sometimes I see the word blue written as a folder path, but other times I see this giant string of symbols with a question mark. Why two different styles?
Because you are looking at two totally distinct filtering models, and this is where generic SEO advice completely fails store owners. You really have to know which underlying mechanism your specific store uses.
Okay, so what is the first model?
The first is tag-based filtering. When a user selects a tag, say blue, that tag becomes a physical segment in the URL path.
So like a new subfolder?
Exactly. The URL becomes /collections/shoes/blue. And as we established, the default robots.txt does not block these single tag URLs.
Let me try to visualize this. Tag-based filtering is kind of like physically building a brand new, separate aisle in your store dedicated entirely to blue shoes.
Yes.
So the search bot walks down the main shoe aisle and then literally sees a whole new physical aisle to walk down.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. It creates a new structural path.
Okay, and the second model?
The second model is the Search and Discovery app model. Shopify launched this natively back in August 2022, and it's basically the modern standard for merchandising-grade filters.
How does it work differently?
Instead of creating a new physical path segment, it uses query parameters to dynamically alter the page. So the URL looks entirely different. It becomes /collection/shoes, filter.v.option.color equals blue.
Ah, okay, so using the store analogy again. The search and discovery model is like handing the customer or the search bot a pair of glasses. They stay standing in the exact same main shoe aisle, but the glasses just dynamically filter out everything on the shelves that isn't blue.
Exactly. One creates a new structural path, while the other just alters the view of the existing path via a parameter.
But wait, if both of these models are generating all these single tag URLs, or these query parameter URLs, and neither of them are blocked by default,
Yeah.
aren't Google's bots going to get absolutely exhausted crawling my site? Like, are they going to run out of energy exploring all these filtered views before they even index my actual products?
What's fascinating here is how much anxiety that exact question causes.
I mean, it sounds stressful.
You have just teed up the biggest boogeyman in e-commerce SEO, crawl budget.
I see crawl budget thrown around literally everywhere. It sounds incredibly technical and intimidating.
Yeah.
Every SEO audit tool tells me I have a crawl budget issue.
I know they do.
So am I hurting my store with all these duplicate filter URLs?
In 99% of cases, for the people listening right now, absolutely not.
Really? Why not?
To understand why, you have to look at the mechanism of crawling itself. Google has massive server farms, but crawling the entire internet still requires prioritizing resources.
Right, they can't crawl everything instantly.
So they assign a budget of time and resources to crawl a specific site. But their official guidance on this is surprisingly blunt. They state explicitly that crawl budget only matters for genuinely massive sites.
Well, what defines massive to a search engine?
You only need to actively worry about crawl budget if you have 1 million or more unique pages.
1 million.
Yeah. Or if you have a medium-sized site of roughly 10,000 or more pages where the content is changing incredibly rapidly, like on a daily basis.
10,000 pages. I mean, most Shopify stores I know have maybe a few hundred products.
Exactly. Let's do the math together and calculate what's called a crawl surface.
Okay, how do we do that?
Your crawl surface is your total number of products plus your single tag filter URLs plus your pagination URLs. So if you're listening to this and you have a highly successful store with, say, 500 products, let's say you have 240 single tag URLs from your filters and you have 120 pagination URLs.
Okay, so 500 plus 240 plus 120. That total crawl surface is 860.
860, and the threshold to even begin worrying about exhausting the Google bot is 10,000.
Wow. So you are not even in the same zip code as a crawl budget problem.
Not even close. Google's servers can crawl 860 URLs in a fraction of a second. My advice is to bring some reason back to the room and just stop panicking about crawl budget.
That is so good to hear.
For small to medium stores, your priority isn't saving Google's crawl time. Your priority is maintaining canonical and indexation cleanliness, making sure the right pages are the ones actually showing up in the search results.
I just want to pause for a second and let the listener feel the sheer relief of that statement. Because there are so many expensive, really complicated SEO tools out there that will happily charge you a monthly fee to fix a manufactured crawl budget crisis.
Oh, absolutely.
A crisis that simply doesn't even exist for your catalog size.
It is a phenomenal waste of resources for a normal-sized store.
Okay, so if we are entirely ignoring crawl budget, let's go back to that scary Search Console report you opened at the start of the day.
Let's do it.
Which of these red warnings actually require human intervention?
Well, let's decode the mechanism behind the most common ones. The first one you'll inevitably see is duplicate without user-selected canonical.
Which immediately sound like a critical error.
It sounds critical, yeah, but mechanically it is completely normal.
Really?
Yep. This just means the page is a duplicate version of something else, but it doesn't currently declare a preferred canonical tag. On Shopify, this happens constantly on filter, variant, and pagination URLs that get generated dynamically.
So if I see this on a filter URL...
Just leave it alone. The system is working exactly as intended.
Okay, what about the warning crawl dash currently not indexed?
Also normal. Mechanically, it just means Google's bot came to your site, looked at the page, but decided it simply wasn't valuable enough to put in the search results right at this exact moment.
So I don't need to frantically hit the request indexing button.
Definitely not. Just leave it.
Okay, but there has to be one warning I should actually care about, right?
There is. If you see the warning, duplicate, Google chose different canonical than user. That is your signal to act.
Why is that specific warning the smoking gun?
Because that represents a direct signal mismatch. Remember earlier when we established that a canonical is a hint, not a rule?
Right, they could just ignore it.
Exactly. This error means you hinted to Google that URL A is your main product page, but Google looked at your site architecture and said, nope, based on how you link your pages, we actually think URL B is the best one.
Oh, so you and the search engine are fundamentally disagreeing on what your most important page is.
Precisely. And when you see that, you must use the URL inspection tool in Search Console, look at the specific page Google actually chose, and figure out why your site architecture is confusing the bot.
Hold on. I actually need to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Because I think every single SEO blog I've read in the last 5 years tells you that if you want to see what pages Google has chosen, you should just go to Google and type site:/yourdomain.com into the search bar.
Please do not do that. The site operator is a complete myth when it comes to accurate diagnostics.
A myth. But millions of people use it.
I know they do, and it causes endless, unnecessary panic. Google explicitly states in their own engineering documentation that the site command is highly inaccurate for counting index pages.
Really?
Yeah, it is essentially a legacy feature. It does not return a comprehensive database pull of your indexed URLs. It's just an estimation.
So what should we use instead?
If you want to know if a specific page is indexed, you have to use the URL inspection tool inside Search Console. And if you want a broad overview of what crawlers can actually see on your site, I highly recommend downloading the free tier of a software called Screaming Frog.
Screaming Frog.
Yeah. It crawls up to 500 URLs for free, which is absolutely perfect for diagnosing a smaller catalog without spending a dime.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because that is a massive takeaway. Stop using the site command.
Stop using it.
Now, I want to explore how Google actually navigates the structure of our sites.
Yes.
Specifically regarding pagination, because this seems to confuse a lot of people.
It does.
Like when I have a collection that spans across 4 pages, I used to be told I had to use these hidden tags in the HTML code called rel equals next and rel equals prev, to chain them together for Google.
Right.
But Google suddenly killed those tags. Why did they do that?
Simply because the mechanics of search algorithms evolved. A decade ago, Google's crawlers were, frankly, fairly rudimentary.
They needed help.
They did. They needed manual, hidden metadata to handle them and explain that page 2 logically came after page 1. But today, Google's crawlers act much more like human users.
Also, they don't need the hidden tags anymore.
Exactly. They just look for the physical next page HTML links on your site and follow them. They map the structure organically based on how a real person would click through your store.
So what is the modern best practice for pagination then if we aren't using those old tags?
The modern approach is beautifully simple. Every paginated page just needs a unique URL, which, by the way, Shopify handles natively by adding $page equals n to the end of the URL string.
Oh, nice.
Furthermore, every single page needs its own canonical tag pointing to itself, rather than pointing back to page 1.
Got it. Self-referencing.
Exactly. And finally, you just need standard old-school HTML forward and backlinks on the page. The simpler your structure, the easier it is for the bot to organically map it.
Okay, so if we are confident Google is crawling and indexing the correct URLs, how do we influence what those URLs actually look like when they finally show up in the search results?
That's the next step, yeah.
Because getting on page 1 is kind of useless if your link just looks like a boring wall of text. How do we get those nice star ratings, the reviews, and the prices right on the Google search results page?
That relies on structured data, which is also known as schema markup.
Schema, okay.
Think of schema as a universal translation layer. Shopify themes have a filter that takes your raw product data, like price, inventory reviews, and translates it into a standardized code format that Google instantly understands without having to guess.
Does it do that automatically?
If you are using a modern online store 2.0 theme, like Dawn or Horizon, the theme generally handles this translation beautifully right out of the box.
That's great.
But never assume it is working perfectly. You should always take a product URL and run it through Google's free Rich Results Test tool. It will show you exactly what data Google is able to extract.
Okay, so let's zoom out. We've used URL inspection to find signal mismatches. We've used the rich results test to verify our schema. We've basically diagnosed the real issues.
Right.
But who actually holds the wrench to fix them? Like, where is the line between something I can just do myself in your admin dashboard and something where I absolutely need to hire a developer?
The dividing line is essentially whether the fix requires editing your underlying database architecture or the theme code itself.
Okay, so what's DIY?
There is plenty of DIY you can do right in the Shopify admin. You can edit page titles. You can write better meta descriptions via the search engine listing section at the very bottom of a product page.
Right, that's easy.
And you can plan out your broader crawl strategy. You don't need to know a single line of liquid code for any of that.
But what if I need to override a collection's canonical URL? Like, because Google and I are having a disagreement like we talked about earlier.
That is developer territory.
Really?
Yeah, there is no native out-of-the-box admin field to manually override canonical on a collection. It actually requires setting up a custom meta field.
What exactly is a meta field?
It's basically a custom database column that you add to your Shopify admin just to store extra information. You'd have to create a meta field for the custom URL and then physically edit the theme.liquid file to tell the theme to pull data from that new column.
Yeah, that sounds like code.
It is. And fixing broken structured data, also developer territory because that logic lives deep within the theme code.
Okay, and then there is the robots.txt.aliquid file. I want to dramatically highlight the danger here.
Yes, please do.
Because we talked about this file acting as the museum map. Shopify explicitly warns that if you mess up a custom edit in this file, you can literally cause the loss of all your search traffic overnight. Why is it so dangerous?
Because it is incredibly unforgiving. If you make a typo and accidentally place a disallow command on the root directory, you are mechanically telling every single search engine on the planet, my entire store does not exist. Do not look at anything.
Oh, wow.
And Google will blindly obey that command and de-index your entire site in a matter of days.
I am emphasizing this to you listening right now. Do not touch this file after 3 glasses of wine. Just hire a professional.
I could not agree more. Let the mechanics handle the engine. And that is actually why I recommend a very strict 6-step impact first protocol for anyone conducting an audit.
Okay, let's hear the 6 steps.
Step 1. Read your Google Search Console report to establish a baseline. Step 2. Confirm the status of your most important pages using the URL inspection tool.
Right, checking for those signal mismatches.
Exactly. Step 3. Identify your specific filtering model. Are you using tag path segments or search and discovery parameters?
Physical aisles versus the glasses.
You got it. Step 4. Decide on your crawl strategy based on your catalog size. Step 5. Verify your canonicals and schema with the rich results test. And finally, step 6. Hand the actual code fixes to a developer. Diagnose the problem completely before you attempt to fix it.
So to recap this whole journey for you, you are completely safe from the crawl budget fears. Most of those scary duplicate flags you saw this morning are completely normal and honestly mechanically expected by the platform.
Absolutely.
And really, your main job isn't rewriting code. It's playing traffic cop for Google, watching for signal mismatches using the URL inspection tool.
And if we pull back and connect all of these mechanical details to the bigger picture, it leaves us with a really fascinating philosophical shift in how search actually works.
What do you mean?
Think about the trajectory we've discussed today. Google is actively ignoring strict commands. They killed the rel equals next metadata. They openly state that canonical tags are merely hints, not rules.
Right.
They rely on organic page structure rather than hidden code. We are actively moving from an era where we tried to program search engines to an era where we can merely influence their algorithms.
So if the bots are acting more like humans and making their own decisions about what content is best, what does this all mean for the store owner?
It means we have to ask ourselves a hard question. How much of our technical SEO anxiety is just a deeply rooted desire for control in a system that is increasingly automated and AI-driven?
Oh, that's deep.
The next time you are staring at your store's data, ask yourself, are you trying to force the algorithm to obey your strict commands, or are you just trying to logically guide it toward your best content?
It's like staring at those red warnings in Search Console with your morning coffee. Are you looking at a broken engine that needs replacing, or are you just looking at the murky waters of an algorithm trying its absolute best to understand the architecture of your store?
Exactly.
Stop trying to be a mechanic, forcing the gears to turn, and start being a guide. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.